UFC 291 just finished, and I'm going to give you my little breakdown and my analysis on the main card or the pay-per-view fights. I would do the entire card, but honestly, I don't really feel like doing that long of a video because it'll take way too long with the amount of shit that I have to say about the other people. So I'm just going to stick it to the main card itself. And without further ado, Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland kind of played out exactly how I thought it was going to be. Michael Chiesa has some of the worst striking ever. He never improves on striking in the 10 or 11 years he's been in the UFC for. Like, it's just crazy that somebody can go that long without even getting, like, he can't even get decent. It's not even decent. Like, obviously you can't be the best striker out there or whatever, but it's not even like somewhat good. It's garbage, and his takedowns are like half committed. He panic wrestles out of anything when he gets clipped. And it's just, once, I think Kevin Holland said it really good, is that once you give him something to worry about, he crumbles. And that's exactly what he did in the fight. Kind of played out exactly how I thought. A lot of people were actually picking Michael Chiesa to win this fight via submission because, the takedown threat. Kevin Holland has struggled versus wrestlers and whatnot. But like, he struggled against big guys. Like, he did decent. A lot of people shit on him for the way he looked against Khamzat Chimaev, but I think his scrambles were pretty decent. Like, most of the guys would have been just gotten taken down, and that was it. But he scrambled out for 2.5 minutes worth. So I think, like, it's all right. I mean, I guess it's another win, but I can't really give Kevin Holland a bunch of praise for it either. It's just a win. I don't think anything special about it. Michael Chiesa kind of always sucked. He always loses to any big fights. Somehow he beat RDA back in the day. But, I mean, Kevin Holland, it is what it is. I don't think it's anything too special. We can't really bank on this as like a great performance. And for the next performance, I wonder how the opponent's going to do against Kevin Holland. Like, nah. I don't think this rises his stock one bit. I think it's just like, it's a whatever fight. It's another win on his victory. Moving on. We got Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Just a horrible performance, in my opinion. I don't think this fight should have ever happened. Tony should have retired after the Beneil fight. That's what I was thinking this whole time. It was just a bad fight, honestly, from both guys. Bobby Green looked pretty decent. At least there's that on his part, because in his last fight versus Jared Gordon, he didn't look super good. He seemed very hesitant and stuff like that. So I was kind of questioning how Bobby Green would actually look. So that's why I was kind of like slightly excited for the fight, because I'm like, maybe he's gonna be scared because he just got knocked out by motivated Drew Dober. Let me say, he got knocked out by Drew Dober. It might be slightly closer. But, I mean, Ferguson looked decent. He looked better than he did, he looked better than the Diaz fight, but can I say he looked good? No, not really. He did knock down Bobby Green in the first round, which is pretty good. But otherwise, it was just all Bobby Green. I mean, he did poke him in the eye in the first round. It didn't really look like it was an accident, in my opinion. But besides the point, he just dominated Ferguson in the second round. First round was super close, but I guess you can give it to Ferguson. And the third round was all Bobby Green. He was just tagging him up on the feet, and Ferguson had nothing on him. It was just garbage, honestly. Like, it just kind of pissed me off more than anything. I was watching it, and at first I was excited. I was like, oh, Ferguson looks pretty decent. But as the fight went on, I was like, man, this just looks like trash. Like, honestly, I didn't even care about the finish. So much people were crying about the finish and how he submitted him. They're all saying, just let him get to a decision at least. I didn't care, to be honest. I don't care. I hope somebody finishes Ferguson badly so that he finally freaking understands in his stupid mind that he needs to retire and he is never going to be a champion. He was talking about, 5 more fights in the title. Dude, you're not gonna win another freaking fight. Like, what does it take for you to finally just think and be like, wait, I should probably retire if I'm getting submitted by Bobby Green? The man that literally always said that he hates wrestlers. Wrestling is for, the cowards, the ones that are afraid to strike. And yet he got out-wrestled and submitted. Like, oh, man, it was just disappointing. It kind of pissed me off. And Ferguson, like, he either needs to get cut by the UFC or he just has to retire. I can't believe that his coaches, his family, everybody are like supporting him to keep fighting and keep fighting. Like, are these people retarded or what? He's going to become Chris Benoit. If you guys don't remember, Chris Benoit was a WWE wrestler who got hit in the head like a million freaking times throughout his career and went crazy, killed his families, and then ended his own life. And like Tony Ferguson has clearly showed to have, his mental instability. Like he's not there mentally. I mean, 10 years ago or whenever it was, if he can beat the shit out of his wife, everybody just swept it under the rug because it was Tony Ferguson. They liked him. Like, no, you can't just sweep it under the rug. That's clearly showing something is wrong in his head. And then not even a year ago, he got a freaking DUI, and the UFC just had to cover it up by announcing the Bobby Green fight. So it's just like, what is it gonna take? Is he gonna kill somebody and everyone's still gonna try to sweep it under the rug? Like he needs to stop. He's taking way too much damage in his career. His fighting style was never like perfect. It was never good for longevity or anything like that. He was literally, his main strategy to win these fights was pressure and kind of just, yeah, the pressure and overwhelming people and the cardio. That's where so much people broke, and he would end up finishing them in the third, fourth rounds. But now that his cardio is not that good, because I mean he was starting to look kind of shitty in the third round, in my opinion. His cardio is not there. He doesn't have that pep in his punch anymore. Like he's just not a threat. His ground game is absolute garbage. It's just, man, he was so feared on the ground. That's where you didn't want to get to the ground on Ferguson because you'll get cut up. You'll do this. And now it just, man, Bobby Green got out pretty much unscathed from that fight. And it's Bobby Green, the guy that I don't even think Bobby Green has really ever been ranked. Or if he was always like low rankings. And man, it's just sad to see. But I mean, am I going to say I was surprised? Absolutely not. I thought he was honestly going to get knocked out in the first or second round, but his chin held up a little bit better. So maybe that's what surprised me in any sort of way. But it's just, he just needs to retire, man. Like, I don't want to watch him fight. He needs to get cut or something. He's on a 6-fight losing streak. I think he has the longest losing streak in lightweight history now. So he went from one streak to another, but I don't think this one's too favorable for him. Anyways, I think if you guys are watching this video, you've probably watched plenty of other videos of other people shitting on Tony for this fight. So I'm not going to go super hard on him. I just hope he retires and finally understands that he's never going to be a champion. He's not going to even win another fight in the UFC. So let's move on to the next fight. Derek Lewis comes out with a flying knee in the first 3 seconds, nearly knocks out Marcos de Lima. I don't want to say his middle name because I'm going to butcher it. Nearly knocks him out. I'm surprised he took that on the chin and wasn't out cold. Imagine that. Imagine if Derek Lewis got the knockout, because that was 3 seconds in. He would have actually beat Jorge Masvidal's 5-second knockout. Crazy. Good win from Derek Lewis. I mean, it was a 36-second fight, so not really much to take in from it. Just a crazy good fight from him. I'm guessing he was probably really afraid of the altitude, and his career was essentially on the line. This was his last fight on his contract, so he had to get the win. Otherwise, he's just gonna, the UFC was not gonna sign him again. He's on a 3 or 4 fight losing streak at this point. So good on him. He essentially just saved his whole career, resaved all of that hype that he used to have back in the day. Gets a great first round knockout, and I can't be happier for him, man. It's Derek Lewis. How can you hate on the man? So good for him. Not really much to say about it besides, shit, if you somehow didn't watch the fight, go watch it. It's 30 seconds. You can probably find it on Instagram at this point. On to the next fight. We got Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz. Very close fight. Really good fight. And honestly, it was a great showing from Pereira, showing that he can stuff the takedowns from Jan Blachowicz. And kind of outstruck him in the second and the third round. Originally, when I watched the fight, I was rooting for Pereira, big time. And I literally made a video about it last week and everything, so you guys can really see that I was rooting for Pereira. I thought he was going to get a first-round knockout because Blachowicz kind of, keeps his right hand down. He's kind of open for a left hook. But, he came out with a grappling-heavy approach, and he couldn't submit Pereira, which is pretty surprising in my opinion. I thought, if anything, Blachowicz is going to take him down in the first round and probably submit him because he's showing a weakness against him. He looked like a fish out of water when it came to Izzy being on his back. It's just, I didn't have any hope for it. But I'm guessing the training with Glover Teixeira is actually working out pretty good. So good on him. Great showing. Split decision. Close fight. Originally, I thought Blachowicz might have gotten it because of the late takedown in the third round. But a lot of other people that I watched, they actually proved the point that he did nothing with it, and Pereira really was outstriking him in the third round. So I can't complain. It was a good showing. Honestly, probably the best showing you could have had from Pereira. Because if he just got a first round knockout, everyone's going to be saying, oh, but what about his ground game? What about when he gets taken down? What about if he fights someone like Magomed Ankalaev? He's going to take him down and just beat the shit out of him on the ground, which is still a possibility. But I think a lot more people have a little bit more hope in Pereira. And his ground game, his takedown defense is pretty decent. So good on him. This really shows that he's getting more and more well-rounded. So good for him, man. There's not really any more big grapplers, big wrestlers in the light heavyweight division besides Magomed Ankalaev, and I don't think he's going to get a title shot after his, you know, kind of bullshit robbery, tie against Blachowicz. But I mean, it was a good fight against them, so it was very close. You can't really complain about it too much. So yeah, I think most likely, who's he going to fight next? Probably Yuri. Most likely Yuri. I think Yuri will probably be back early next year. So looking forward to that. I still favor Yuri, even if it's going to be a straight striking battle, because they both stay open. I mean, Jan landed a lot of left hooks on Pereira, and he landed on him a lot. And so, you can't really rely on Pereira just being out there and starching people out cold, because he himself is very open, and Yuri Prochazka hits extremely hard. I mean, look at his knockout reel. He went on like a 12 or 13 knockout victory streak. So, if anyone's gonna knock out Pereira, Yuri is the guy to do it. And Pereira's shown to kind of have not the best chin. I mean, it did held up. It held up pretty good against Jan this fight. So I'm looking forward to it. I think he's gonna fight for the title next, most likely against Yuri. But I still do favor Yuri in that matchup at this moment. I could change later on, but as of right now, I still think Yuri's gonna beat him. Probably gonna knock him out in the first, second round. But hey, that's the interesting part, because Pereira has that left hand, and when he's not afraid of the takedown, then his striking really opens up and it gets even better. So I'm looking forward to that, but great showing from Pereira. I'm very happy with that fight. And the main event, Justin Gaethje knocks out Dustin Poirier in the second round via head kick. Completely unexpected. I did not see it coming whatsoever. I know a lot of people were saying that Gaethje was making Poirier frustrated. He was beating him to everything. But honestly, I thought it was pretty even. I need to rewatch the fight, because maybe I was just being kind of biased towards Poirier. But I honestly had him winning that first round. So maybe I need to go rewatch it. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I think it was a lot closer than what people are really giving Poirier the credit for. But ultimately, first round didn't matter, because the second round, it was a crazy head kick. I don't think I've really ever seen Justin Gaethje throw head kicks. Like, it was really surprising, because he threw 3 or 4 of them, and they're all missing, but they're getting very, very close. I mean, I think one of them might have landed slightly, but it wasn't too bad. And if anybody was going to get chinned in this fight, I thought it was going to be Justin Gaethje, because Justin Gaethje's been getting dropped in all of his last fights. I mean, like, all of his UFC fights, I think he's been dropped in at least once in every single one, or badly hurt. So for him to knock out Poirier, who hasn't been chinned in I don't even know how many years it's been. I mean, last person to knock him out was Michael Johnson, and that was, I don't even know, what was that, 2016, 2015? So it's been years, and Poirier's never really been badly hurt like that. I mean, he's been rocked here and there, obviously, but never super bad. He never actually got dropped in the past like 5 or 6 years. So to get knocked out cold like that from one shot was just surprising. But hey, I mean, kudos to Gaethje. Jorge Masvidal looked very salty when he was putting on that BMF belt, the bullshit belt, onto Gaethje's shoulder. He didn't wrap around his waist or anything. Go rewatch that. I thought it was very funny. Just, he looked so salty. I know he did not want to put that shit on Gaethje. But that's my recap on the whole 290, UFC 291 fight, main card at least. I don't want to do the prelims, otherwise it's going to be a 30-40 minute video. Don't really feel like doing that, and for a bunch of kind of no-name people that not many people cared about. So let me know what you guys think about everything, and yeah, until next time.
Fuck you, MMA Vic.